All right, everyone. Hello. Hello. Let me go to my channel so I can. Let's see. Here we go. Live. Check in on everybody's comments. All right. Let's see who's here. Hello, RMS Queen Mary. Hello, Thomas Brooks. Hello, John Spencer. Hello, Haley. I'm doing good, John. Hi, says MS Ships Adventures. Hello, KFC Gamer. Um, all right, so I was actually working on a video script while I was doing this, so um, I am running a little bit late. I'm still waiting for the hot water to boil. I haven't even put out the stuff yet, but at least you can see kind of how I do stuff. So I'll actually show you how I set this up. So all right, so if you don't see me on screen and other people are coming in and they're like, "Where's Alex?" Just tell them I'm in the background. They'll hear me talking though. Can you guys hear me okay? Because I I hooked up my regular speaker uh, to this thing, so you should be able to hear me a lot better than before. So I'll wait for your comments to come in to say whether or not you can hear me okay. I think you can. I think you can. KFC Gamer says okay. I think that's from the speaker. Let's see. So yeah, there's 20 people already so far. I already pre-cut the sandwiches. Last time I was on the live stream, somebody said that the sandwiches had to be cut into fingers. So that's what I did. I cut them into fingers as opposed to squares. I heard squares were traditional, but fingers are also traditional. I know that for sure. So why not, you know? It was a little bit trickier, but I got it. John C says you're a little bit quiet. I can't raise the volume anymore. All I can do is bring the mic closer to me. Is that any better? Do you hear me any better now? Let me see here. Try to adjust this thing. Come on. Kraken says I sound great. Yeah, let me know if I sound any better, you guys. I just put the mic closer to me. Should make things better. So, yeah. So, sounds like the water's beginning to boil. Or Aaron says yes. John M. Spencer says yes. I can see the sound levels. Yeah, the sound levels on the computer went higher. So, Kraken says people need to turn their sound up. Okay, so I'm going to start preparing for the tea. I haven't, like I said, I was running kind of late and I didn't have the time to do it. So you'll see how I get everything done, sort of. So first, let me grab some things. I will be off camera for a second, and you might not be able to hear me for a few moments, but I'm here. Okay. So first thing is first, Irish breakfast tea. One of these for water. Okay. So, let me turn this around. Okay, so I actually, let me see here. Just a second, I'm checking something on my phone. All right, so I do have someone to thank here because the other day someone donated to my Venmo to help me because all I had was English breakfast tea, and so I didn't have money for anything else, and so I want to thank Ken. So Ken, you know who you are, for donating to me. I was able to buy several teas. This is the Irish breakfast tea, and then I also bought an Earl Grey tea. But I've had Earl Grey before. I have not ever had Irish breakfast tea, so I'm gonna try the Irish breakfast tea today. So the way I do that, gotta open this up first. Where's my teaspoons? Open up the tea infuser. One for me, one for the pot. These teapots aren't very big, so they don't hold very much. You know what, I always like it a little bit stronger, so extra half for me. So that's 1.5 for me, 1 for the pot. Put that on there. Can close that up and let that sit there. Now the pastries. So I have Scottish shortbread. Put that on there. And then I have chocolate covered digestives. These are, again, both these things are consumed in the UK. So I have a brand new pack here. I like to have 2. So I lay out 2. Set that aside. Now I open up the Scottish shortbread. Just gotta rip it open because it doesn't have an easy to open side. I like to have 2 of these as well. Sorry, I'll get to your guys' comments in just a second. Like I said, I'm running late on this live stream, so I haven't even set up everything yet. So, 2 Scottish shortbread. That away. Deal with that later. Okay, tea's ready. That got a pre-warm. This is my teacup here. I keep it upside down to keep the dust out, but I got to pre-warm the teacup and the teapot. So the way I do that is I run them under really hot tap water and then keep tap water in them for a second. So I'll be right back. Okay, so let me just check on some comments real quick while the water is getting hot. Nope, wrong one. This one. Alright, so Kraken Teeth says, what's your Venmo? My Venmo is at Alex A Historian. So you can find me on Venmo, Alex A Historian. Alright, so thank you, Moose. Thank you, Irving. Cheryl Ann says, did you shop at World Market? No, I ordered on Amazon. Cruz says, what time is it there? It is 4:11 p.m., so 11 minutes past tea time. So let me just get to the sink. Okay, so the teacup and the teapot are sitting with really hot tap water. which it's super cold up here in Portland. So the tap water, as soon as it comes out of the sink, it's not as hot anymore. Okay, so I let that sit for a few seconds to absorb some of that heat. Then what I will do next is I will dump out some of the, like half the hot water from the teacup and then half the hot water from the teapot and place them in this extra thing here. So the water's already boiling. Okay, that should be good. Let me dump out half and half. Place that upside down. Okay, and then I'll bring the boiling water over here. Jeez, that is a roiling boil. So I'm continuing to let the water boil because these vessels are only preheating. When I'm ready, I will have to empty these out completely, and then I will fill the teapot with like completely boiling water, and then that's when I'll put the tea in. So again, thank you, Ken, for donating money for me to get some different teas. So today, Irish breakfast tea. Next time, which I think will be Tuesday, I'll try the Earl Grey. And I'll have a Foggy London, I think they think it's called. Let me check with your guys' comments real quick. Let's see. John Spencer says, hey, Alex, ever since you've had those paranormal experiences... Wait, is something going... No, I'm still on the internet. That was weird. For some reason. Oh, okay. So, John says, hey, Alex, ever since you've had those paranormal experiences at Disneyland at the Golden Horseshoe, would you consider Freddy a bad spirit, and how freaky was the experience? Yeah, I mean, well, it's hard to say because the way I interpreted my experiences with Freddy at the Golden Horseshoe was that Freddy was not by nature a bad spirit. I think that Freddy was like Golden Horseshoe was his home, you know? And so everybody who came into his home, you know, he only liked them if they treated it well. If they, you know, if they trashed the place or whatever, especially if it was a bus boy who didn't properly clean the place, they skipped on things, because some people do. That's when I think that you'd see the freakiest stuff, was especially with people who just skipped things, you know? Maybe they saw a table was slightly dirty, but they thought, you know what, I'm running out of time, I'm just gonna, you know, just gonna clean the tables around it, you know, or something like that kind of thing. It's hard to describe because at the same time, like, I'm also thinking, like, I feel so crazy for talking about this stuff, you know? So, but yeah, I mean, the experiences were really scary. I've never seen anything quite like it. I'm sure this microphone is probably blocking my face. Is it? No, not really, but, yeah, so things like that were kind of freaky. It was just really weird, and it's hard to describe. Like, even today when I tell people about it, they either believe it or they don't, and those who don't believe it think I'm freaking crazy. And it's like, yeah, I can understand why. I mean, these were really weird experiences. Derpy says, good afternoon, Alex. Good afternoon, Derpy. Cruise Aviation says it's 7 where I live. Goofy Rolls says, please increase your volume. It is much too low. I can't. This is as high as it goes. Yeah, it's as high as it goes. Sorry. People asked me to use a different microphone. I was using that microphone. It was perfectly fine. It didn't sound the best, but I decided to use this one. And unless I put the microphone like right up to my mouth, it's because that's what this is designed for. This microphone is designed to sit like 6 inches from your mouth. And the thing is, I can't do that. So it has to sit here on the table. So I'm sorry. I made an attempt to put a better microphone, but I can't do anything better than that. I have a lapel mic, but my computer is literally like 12 feet away, and my cable for the lapel mic, even with the extension, only goes 8 feet. So it's not long enough to reach my computer from here. So there's just no way. Like, I have to deal with this. So anyway, let's see here. Thank you, Cruise Aviation. All right. Yeah, I can't do that. I'd have to hold on to it the whole time. I'm not going to do that. I have things to do. Like, I can't. Like, right now I have to get up and put the boiling water in the teapot. So dumping the whole thing out. That can stay. Actually, that might be a bit too much. That's better. Okay, now we add the tea. Come on. There we go. Alrighty. Okay, so so the tea is doing its thing. So what, 425? Yeah. Okay, the tea is doing its thing. Everything is ready. Hello, Raul. Is it Raul? I'm gonna guess it's Raul. I have an uncle named Raul, so it's let's see. Goofy Roll says maybe a shotgun mic would be better. I mean, maybe, but you know, I don't have the money for that. So I spent a whole bunch of money getting the apartment. So and I already have like several mics. I've bought so many, and yeah, I just can't. Cronia Polk says, can you connect 2 extension cords that can be connected to the mic? Not without buying one. I don't, I'd have to buy a longer extension cord for the lapel mic. And like I said, at the moment, I barely didn't even have any money. I couldn't even buy tea. So I don't have the money for an extension cord for the lapel mic. And to be honest, I have a feeling that lapel mic is broken anyway, because I bought it brand new, and when I opened the package, the lapel mic was not fully functioning. Are you guys sure you can't hear me? Because the volume uh the volume thing is all the way like at the end. It's almost in the orange section, which tells me it's almost too high. So are you sure you guys can't hear me? Because it's showing that it's at more than nominal. So hi Sarah, how you doing? Thomas Brooks asks, when the Queen Mary opens again or sometime in the future, do you think that they should sell replica Queen Mary tea and china sets? They were, actually. I forgot, this is not the camera. That's the camera. They were selling them. Uh, they probably will when it reopens again. I don't know. But they were selling them. Mysterious Wanderer says it's very low volume. Well, then it must be yours, because everyone else says it's loud and clear. So, so Mysterious Wanderer, it must be your device, because I'm maxing out the volume here. Everyone else says they can hear me just fine. Sarah Palm says my volume is all the way up on my computer and on YouTube, and I can barely hear you. Alright, well, it looks like only half the people can hear me, so what I'll do is I'll just disconnect this microphone and use the webcam microphone. It's not as good, but... Alright, the webcam microphone is on, so I don't like it because I have to shout, but, you know, people say that they can't hear me, so alright. Okay. Well, anywho, so, let's see. Yeah, I'm pretty excited because, what's today? Okay, so tomorrow, we're gonna have like a full-on afternoon tea at my sister's apartment with her friends and stuff. So it's gonna be cool. I'm gonna make all of the cucumber sandwiches. I'm gonna make all the cucumber sandwiches. There we go. Yeah, I'm gonna make all the cucumber sandwiches. And I will bring these pastries with me. I would love to use my tea set, but I only have technically one teacup that is useful. Oh, it's time to pour the tea. So, I grab my extra water jug here, empty out the teacup. There we go. And with the teapot. Wow, that's really hot. Ugh. So I like to dunk the tea infuser a few times just to make sure that all the good stuff is out of the infuser. Okay. Into the... There we go. This can go on the top. Let me bring my teacup over. And we can pour the tea. As you can see, it's a cube. The teapot's a cube. That's one of the things I like about this tea set is, you know, I was going to get this, like, kind of decorative tea set. It would have come with, like, 6 teacups and a big teapot and 6 tea plates. It was the whole thing, and it was going to come from Germany. But I really wanted the Cunard set. I really wanted to be able to tell people, like, hey, you know, like, I'm recreating a Cunard tea service. So, All right. 1, 2. And then we mix back and forth. Armis Queen Mary says, what do you like more about the Queen Mary? I suppose what I like is the Art Deco style. I've always been partial to Art Deco. So, there we go. And then, of course, the size of the ship, I think it's really cool, you know. The same way people like how Titanic was once the largest ship in the world is the reason why I like the Queen Mary. You know, she at one point was the largest ship in the world. I say at one point because then all the Normandy people are going to be like, wait a minute, but there was a time when the Queen Mary was the largest in the world. Let's see. Especially after... especially after the Queen Elizabeth burned in 1972, the Queen Mary once again became the largest ship in the world. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Derpy says, if they could reopen any closed off public space on the Queen Mary, regardless of feasibility, which space would you pick? Regardless of feasibility. Well, depends on what you mean closed off, because that will extremely vary my answer. So you have to answer closed off due to banquets, because they often close rooms just so you use them for banquets. Or closed permanently. I'll have to ask that. So either closed for banquets or closed permanently, because that will definitely change my answer. Hello, Evan Scott. John C. says, I sent an email to the Columbia River Maritime Museum about the lifeboats. You should send them an email saying if they can get a lifeboat. You can give them more info than I can. If you just email them a link to my video, honestly, then you'd already be telling them just as much as I could. So all you really have to do is just send them a link to my video and tell them to watch it. Because while I know a lot about the history of the Queen Mary, and I know a lot about the current events of the Queen Mary, I actually haven't yet read the PDF about how to acquire a lifeboat, because it is like 105 pages long. It's like reading a mini novel, and I don't have the time at the moment to read all of it. So it's just best to send it to people. Keith says, I love these tea times. So do I. You know, my face looks really dark. Let me adjust the brightness. Because I'm like seeing my face in this thing, and it's like so dark against the background. We'll see if that works. Derpy says, gotta go. Alright, see you later. Matthew Mahoney says, any update on the Queen Mary swimming pool? There is currently no work being done on the Queen Mary swimming pool, nor is there any plans to do any work within this year on the Queen Mary swimming pool. It is slated for work to be done in the future, but it's not on a schedule, so don't think it is. It's not on a schedule. My face still looks dark. Jeez. All right. Evan Scott says, still think about getting a lifeboat. Where is the meeting on Zoom? It's not on Zoom. You'll have to read the PDF if you want to get a lifeboat. You'll have to read it to understand. Aaron Estrada says, love the tour of your studio, especially the song. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I love 30s band music, especially if it's foxtrots and stuff. My friend Shiloh got me into it because before that I never listened to 30s music. But I thought it was like kind of cool, so. Mysterious Wanderer says, can the ship survive being towed to New York City? Not in its current state. In its current state, it wouldn't even survive being towed to, a block away, honestly. The Queen Mary will need a lot of work just to be able to... See, there's... Alright, what I'm about to say, you have to listen carefully. Because I'm going to use the term seaworthy. And some people take that to mean perfectly sailable. But that's not what this term means in this case. So if you want to tow the Queen Mary, there's a lot of work that has to be done to make her seaworthy, to make it so she can be towed. And in this case, seaworthy means that she won't sink for any reason while she's out at sea. So the work that needs to be done to make her seaworthy for towing is the exact same work that she needs anyway. So if the city of Long Beach or the Port Authority, which the Port Authority is going to be the people who eventually own the ship. So if the Port Authority is going to spend that much money to make the ship seaworthy, then that's already half of the work done. So they're not going to give the ship to anyone else. They're not going to give it to New York. So that's why the Queen Mary is going to stay in Long Beach, because any work that has to be done to move her is going to be the work that has to be done anyway. So, Kevin Brown asks, is she still too large to go through the Panama Canal? No. So in 1967, when she was sailing to Long Beach, back then she was too large to fit through the canal. But in 1969, they expanded the canal. So only 2 years later, they expanded the canal. And the Queen Mary now, she would be able to fit through the Panama Canal. So that would definitely help if she were to sail to New York. But again, at the moment, she's too much in disrepair to even be sailed a block away, honestly. Yeah, she needs a lot of work to be done. She's fine in the lagoon where she is for another 2 years or so. But that's exactly what's going on, is they're trying to repair her so that way she will be fine for 2 years. But after those 2 years, they will need to have a solid plan for reconstruction. What's interesting is there is some new news that came out today, in fact. So, remember how I said that lifeboats 1 and 2 will stay on the ship? As it turns out, after they removed all the lifeboats, it turns out lifeboats 2 and 3. Yeah, lifeboats 2 and 3 are the ones that are going to stay on the ship. That means one 30-foot lifeboat called an accident lifeboat, and then one 36-foot lifeboat, the full-size ones. So at least there's an example of one of each type staying on the ship. So you can see what the accident lifeboat looks like, and you can see what the regular 36-foot lifeboat looks like. Goofy Roll says, can you imagine having a complete set of Queen Mary finery for your next family holiday? That would be the ultimate in luxury. That would be so cool. I would love to have an entire set even if it was just 4 places, I would love to have an entire set of Queen Mary china, enough that you could like literally serve salads, soups, and entrees on the whole thing with tea, coffee cups, and demi-tasse cups. Unfortunately, that's a huge collection that would cost me way too much money. But there is someone who has it. I forget who it is. There is a YouTuber out there who has like the full set, and they had their Thanksgiving meal. Was it a YouTuber or is it someone on Facebook? I think it's someone on Facebook, actually. I think they have like the full set, and they had their Thanksgiving meal on it, or their Christmas dinner on it, or something. And it was so cool. I was like, oh my gosh, this person has all that. Thomas Brooks says, Alex, do you know if you can still buy Queen Mary replica china? I haven't seen it. If there was a place you could buy it, it would be eBay. And I've been looking on eBay, and I don't see it there. So I don't know. That's an interesting question, because I have looked, and I can't find it. Occasionally, you can find vintage replica. So there's a set like this that the Queen Mary sold while she was still in service on the ocean. And it was this exact set, but it was all replica. And it said souvenir on it. And it all said souvenir. But those are also rare for some reason. So, I don't know. It's funny, because sometimes it's easier to find the actual in-service stuff than it is to find the replica or souvenir stuff. Matthew Mahoney says, how about moving the Queen Mary across the harbor closer to the city? That might seem like a good idea, but I have considered it to try to understand if that would actually make a difference. And actually, it's even worse. If you move the Queen Mary across the harbor, first of all, anybody who stays in the hotel would have terrible views, because if you look back across the harbor, then all you see is the industrial stuff. At least when you stay on the Queen Mary, most of the rooms that are available face downtown. So you actually get a good view out your windows. Only some of the rooms face the industrial area. But the other thing too is that the Queen Mary actually sits in a really good spot. It's just that no one's developed anything on it yet. The spot she's at has a lot of potential for construction. You can build a lot of things there, turn it into its own tourist attraction in that spot. If you move her across the harbor, not only do you block a lot of people's views of the harbor, but again, most of the rooms would have to face the industrial area. So the thing is that people who want to develop on the Queen Mary's land have to think outside the box. Disney tried to do a theme park, and I think that was too much. The city of Long Beach obviously didn't want that. I don't, the thing about theme parks is that they attract a certain clientele. They make an area unnecessarily busy. So while they can be good for the economy, they can be detrimental to the area around them. And I think that's why Long Beach back then wouldn't allow Disney to build a theme park. Yeah. Keith says, I was in Philadelphia last fall and had the chance to see the SS United States. It was a magnificent sight. Nice. Kevin asks, do they make replicas of Cunard finery? Like I said, they do. They were selling it on the Queen Mary before she closed, but I can't find any of it online, so I think you can only buy it on the Queen Mary. Evan Scott says, it's fun to talk about the Queen Mary with you, Alex. Yeah, thank you. I actually love talking about the Queen Mary a lot. I never get to. You know, I don't have any friends that live up here who can constantly visit me and we can just talk about the Queen Mary. So the only time I get to talk about this stuff is either when I make a history video about the Queen Mary or when I'm doing these tea times. Mysterious Wanderer says, make it into a casino ship. No. This is a ship that literally transported 810,000 troops to war. A ship that escaped enemy submarines for 6 years despite a bounty of 1 million Reichsmarks. You know, a ship that, you know, that helped win the first battle at El Alamein. And, you know, there's so much history to the ship. I don't want to see her as a casino. That would just tarnish her good reputation. She needs to remain a museum and possibly remain a hotel. I'm still iffy on the hotel thing. There are benefits and downsides. The benefits to her being a hotel is you can, from a tourism standpoint, you can create immersive experiences that allow people to feel like they are transported, you know, into the 1930s and they're taking a transatlantic crossing. You can design experiences around that. And that could draw in tourism and make the ship more popular. But on the other hand, using it as a hotel continues to add wear and tear to the ship. And the rooms are already pretty worn out because of it. So there's positives and negatives to it. But if the ship was a popular tourist attraction, then you could make the argument that, you know, with enough maintenance, you can keep up with the problems, you know. Kevin Brown says, so they closed her down. I am sad. They closed her down temporarily, but they're trying to reopen her for Halloween. Keith says, I'm moving further and further away from my love of Disney. I can't even watch Disney YouTube people anymore. Some of these people have a cultish feel about Disney. Thank you. That's exactly why I've been moving away from the Disney stuff, because the fandom has really changed. Yeah, the fandom has really changed. It used to be like, when I first started becoming a Disney fan, it used to be like, there was this community of people who you could just casually talk Disney with and stuff, and it was great, but due to Disney themselves trying to expand their outreach to people, trying to expand the amount of people who are interested in Disney, now you get people who treat it like it's a culture. And that's okay, but the problem comes with it being a culture of people who are divided. You got people like me who remember the old days and who go, those were the good times. Disney needs to bring that idea back. I'm not going to say like bring old rides back. Like, I know some people think that, but bringing old rides back doesn't fix the problem. But bring the ideas that they used to have from the past and stuff like that. But then you've got the other side of people who, you know, Disney can do no wrong, and there's nothing wrong with what Disney does currently, and, you know, people are just complainers and stuff like that, and it's just become this divided thing. And then, but the people who are the, you know, Disney can do no wrong people, you know, anything I say that's negative about the company, they get upset and they're like, I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear your opinion. And it's like, well, you subscribe to my channel. You subscribe to what I want to produce. So it's like, you know, I don't blame people if they don't want to hear bad stuff about Disney. I don't blame them. But that's, you know, I'm not going to sit here and be like Disney's the perfect company, because I was treated horribly, you know, for 6 years by the company. And there are things that can be said. That's all I'm trying to say here. But But yeah, so besides that, what they're bringing to the parks and to their movies, like I didn't even watch Encanto. It doesn't look, or Encanto or whatever you want to call it. It depends on how you pronounce it, but I didn't even watch it because it doesn't appeal to me, and I already know what it's going to be like. These Disney movies are like a dime a dozen now. They're all the same. It's always, someone, you know, miscommunicates a message, and then everybody else doesn't want to talk about it, and then they all have this big like secret thing where they don't want to discuss the problem, and then the problem grows to become this big issue that takes up the whole movie, and at the very end they all discuss their issue and come together and they're happy again. And it's like okay, that's a good premise, but when you use it over and over and over and over again, it just becomes a message about society, about how people don't talk about their problems. So I can't. I'm not a big Disney fan anymore. That's why you see less Disney stuff on my channel. I've been moving away from it. I'm not completely 100% away from it. I still plan to make a couple of Disney videos now and then, but my main focus is going to be other history and stuff. So, John C. says, I find that Disney has fans are more crazy about things that they were before. Yeah, they are a bit more crazy about things than they were before. There's a lot of nitpicking when it comes to Disney stuff now, and the other thing too is like my channel got lost in it. Like there are so many Disney Channel YouTubers now that my channel can't grow. Literally, it can't grow. Like I reached a peak when it comes to Disney stuff because all I do is history, and most people don't. They've already seen so many videos about Disney history that they're like, I've heard it all before. So by the time they see my channel, they don't realize that there's stuff that I can tell them that they haven't heard that might be interesting. So because of that, like no one watches my channel when it comes to Disney content. So I literally had to move away from it because everyone's heard it before, so to speak. My channel couldn't grow. Cheryl Ann says, Disney is one of the richest companies in the world. Trust me, you don't get there by being perfect. I'm so glad I was able to enjoy it when Walt's vision was still there. That's my point of view, too. I was able to enjoy Disney when it was good, and in my opinion, it's no longer good anymore, so I don't enjoy it anymore, so I'm moving on. That's kind of how I feel about it. I was lucky to experience some really awesome things with the Disney company, in terms of their movies, their theme parks, that kind of thing. You want to know something interesting? I don't mind telling this to you now because I don't think it's going to happen, but I probably still shouldn't reveal too much, but I was asked like 2 years ago to be part of like a documentary about Mickey Mouse, and so I was asked by Disney, and so it was going to be put on Disney Plus, and so they were gonna like interview like dozens of people, and they were like holding interviews and stuff. And what's really funny was they were casting like average people to try out for these interviews. They didn't want to just bring like some boring like blah, blah, blah person. They wanted people who were like excited and happy. And so they were like literally casting people to be on this documentary to explain their experiences and their love for Mickey Mouse. What's funny was somebody somewhere found my channel, and they immediately were like, oh, we want this guy to be on there, because I guess they thought like I would say a lot of good things about Mickey Mouse, which I did because Mickey Mouse is my favorite. So I ended up doing the interview, and I got, I filmed it and everything. I filmed it myself because I was all the way up here in Portland, and they were doing all that down in LA. I couldn't go down to LA to do it. So I asked them, I said, I have my own filming equipment. Can I film myself doing the interview? They said, yes, please do it. So I did. I submitted it. Technically, the footage belongs to them now. So I want to show you the footage because I saved my own. But technically, I signed a waiver. The footage belongs to Disney. If I try to post it, I don't know what could happen. But I do have a picture of me doing the interview. And I was so excited. It was going to be on Disney Plus and stuff. But then, like, the next summer, I want to say, Disney Plus went through some huge budget issues. They didn't have the... They didn't want to put... Either they didn't want to put the money into Disney Plus, or maybe it wasn't making enough money. I don't remember what it was, but they were having budgeting issues. And I think the show was canceled. They never officially called me and told me. But I was like, but I remember talking to the producer of the show, and she was like, oh yeah, we'll let you know, when the show is going to air or whatever. But it won't be for another, 6 months or so. I was like, okay, no problem. And that 6 months came and gone 3 times over. And so, I think it was canceled, honestly. And so I was keeping it secret for a long time because, I didn't want to... Well, first of all, I didn't want to jinx myself. I didn't want to be like, hey, I'm going to be on Disney Plus, and all of a sudden, not, But now I don't think it's going to happen, so I'm like, eh. Like, my sister was asking about it the other day because she helped me do the interview. She was asking me the questions, behind the camera while I was in front of the camera. And she says, hey, whatever happened to that thing? And I said, I think they canceled it, honestly. Because it hasn't been on Disney Plus at all. Come to think of it, during the time that I did the interview was the start of the George Floyd riots and the Black Lives Matter movement. I can't help but wonder if they canceled it because Mickey Mouse has in the past been seen in some, let's say, not too socially acceptable images. So I can't help but wonder if they canceled it because they were like, oh, you know what, we can't talk about Mickey Mouse because, Mickey Mouse has, done some things that we aren't proud of anymore, Maybe that's why. I don't know. All right, let's see. Rob Fez says, you are truly talented and would always come to your channel. Oh, thank you so much. Madeline says, oof, Alex, you're spot on with the plot. That's still such a good movie. I can almost predict these Disney movies now just by looking at their pictures and the thing. It's like I know what movies I'll like and what I won't. Let's see. John Spencer says, as if the Disney company doesn't get an idea, they just think what comes to their mind and begin something on a project and see if the fans will like it. Sometimes I don't even think it's that. I think they found a formula that works. If you look at, Disney movies maybe older than 10 years ago, there's a lot of different storylines and plots that are just everywhere, all over the spectrum. But then after that, they all became the same kind of plot. And I think that Disney found a winning formula. A formula that if they just follow the formula, it will always work. And I think that's what happened. I think they found the formula that works perfectly. It probably had something to do with... probably after, movies like what's that one? Inside Out came out. Probably after that, that's when they were like, that's a good plot line. I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing stuff out there, but... Keith says, the last Disney YouTube channel I watched roughly 4 months ago, 4 grown adults had Mickey ears on. At that point, I thought, I'm kind of done. I think Mickey ears are perfectly fine, especially when you're in the parks. But there's a reason why I'm not wearing them now. I don't know. I don't think it would be weird to me if I was wearing my Mickey ears right now. So I can kind of see your point of view. Um, I think if you're in the park, there's nothing wrong with wearing your Mickey ears. I did. When I was in the park, I'd wear my Mickey ears or whatever. Because you're trying to get into it, you know? Like, next time I go to the Queen Mary, I'm probably going to dress in, like, 30s clothing, you know? 1930s to blend in with the ship. So I like to get into it that way, but you know, like, I don't know. I remember when Galaxy's Edge was first built, they were trying to get all the cast members to stick to this storyline, this background storyline for the whole land. And a lot of them were getting really into it, like really, really into this storyline. Like, it was no longer them being paid to act out, like, their so-called character. It became like they lived their character even after they left work for the day. And that, in my mind, was kind of like, that's a little weird. Like, I love Disney. There was a time when I loved Disneyland so much I wished I lived there. There was a time when I was that obsessed with it, but I never brought it home with me that way, you know? I don't know how to describe it. But, yeah, I don't know. These sandwiches are so good. I can't wait for my sister to try them tomorrow. She's gonna... They're so simple, but they're so delicious. Even my friend Chris was like, Alex, I can't wait for you to make those sandwiches for me. Because he's had them before from, I think, England. And it's funny because, like, anyone can make them, but they're just that good. Like, we don't have them here, like, in the United States. Like, it's crazy. Rob Fuzz says, I was asked to be part of a documentary on the castles for Behind the Attraction. They passed on my footage. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I know Disney's been asking the public to be part of their videos and stuff, but yeah, I think that's what, like, I think my show was canceled, the one that I was going to be in. And then a lot of people, yeah, like you, have been passed on for other shows. Abram says, I enjoyed your Disneyland History Today videos very much. Hope you are doing well, Alex. Thank you, I am doing well. Rob Fuzz says, how much could a Mickey special cost? I don't know. But I think it was canceled because of Mickey Mouse himself. Matthew Mahoney says, what other cities wanted to buy the Queen Mary? From what I remember, Hong Kong wanted to buy the Queen Mary. New York wanted to buy the Queen Mary. Long Beach. Maybe Seattle, but I don't know. But definitely those three. New York, Long Beach, Hong Kong. Those are the three cities that wanted to buy the Queen Mary. And then there was a lot of private collectors and organizations. So one organization wanted to buy the Queen Mary and turn her into like a high school. And then a private collector wanted to buy both the Queen Mary and Queen Elizabeth, weld them together to create the world's largest catamaran. What the heck? Rob Fuzz says, what was the company that was producing the special? I don't know. They didn't say that they were from a different company. I think they were working for Disney. They were like part of Disney's team. Because otherwise they would have had a different company, but it wasn't. Yeah, so the next video I'm working on currently, because I was working on the Johann von Oldenbarnevelt. I'm getting used to saying it. I was working on that one, but it's going to take longer to produce that one. So in the interim, I am making a different video settling once and for all which was the fastest of the two ships, Queen Mary or Queen Elizabeth. Because there is a big rumor out there that Queen Elizabeth was secretly faster than Queen Mary, but Cunard never let that happen. So I think you'll like it. I'm hoping I can get the video done in like a matter of a couple of days, and then after that I'll continue work on the Johann von Oldenbarnevelt video. And then some of my friends are coming to visit this coming weekend, and I'm hoping to film some other things. We want to go to a few local tourist attractions. Some of them are historically significant, so I want to see if I can film there, and then make videos about the history of these things. Kovev says, I really enjoy the ocean liner history videos and updates on the Queen Mary, and was wanting to know what your thoughts are on the SS United States. I mean, you mean like the SS United States' restoration, or... I think that the problem with the SS United States is that the restoration of that ship would cost at least $800 million. And so because of that, and because of its limiting factors, like how much it would cost to keep at docks and stuff like that, there aren't very many prospective buyers. Because to us, that might seem like a no-brainer. Like, it might seem like, oh, hey, like this thing can float anywhere in the world if you turn it into like a cool like hotel. But that becomes a problem for companies because not only would they have to make it seaworthy, but they'd have to pay for super expensive port fees. Cruise ships, for instance, get around that problem because cruise ships, the longer they're at sea means the less time they're sitting at a port, which means the port fees don't cost as much. But ships like the SS United States, in order to get their business, they would need to stay at a port for an extended period of time. So, unless, of course, it was turned into a cruise ship, but I don't think that would happen because there needs to be a certain ratio of rooms to square footage on the ship. Yeah, it's kind of a complicated matter. Mysterious Wanderer says, why did the arrival of USS Iowa not improve traffic to the Queen Mary? Well, the two ships have virtually nothing to do with each other. So, I mean, I know they're both World War II era, but that's about where the similarities end. And you have to understand that the public barely understands that the Queen Mary is a World War II era ship, like it served in World War II, but most people don't know that. Only the ocean liner fans know that. The other thing too is the USS Iowa was miles away from the Queen Mary. So it's not like it was right next door. It's not like, you could just like walk over from one ship to the other. It was miles away. So that's part of the reason why it just didn't help, The Queen Mary being run as a hotel, they don't run it like it's its own tourist attraction. They run the Queen Mary like it's a motel servicing people who are going to things like the Aquarium of the Pacific. And it's no wonder why that business model has never worked, because the stuff to do in Long Beach doesn't take a weekend to do. It can be done in like a day. So the Queen Mary needs to operate as its own tourist attraction, its own destination, a place that you'd want to stay the weekend. And these businesses have never thought about doing it that way, because that would have, taken a lot of money. But yeah, they missed out on that. But yeah, that's why the USS Iowa never increased traffic to the Queen Mary. Mr. Dude says, what sandwiches? These are cucumber sandwiches. They are, well, they were. I ate them all. Um, they're basically slices of cucumber, and then on either of the pieces of bread, I spread a spread made of cream cheese, a little bit of mayonnaise, dill, powdered garlic, and salt. And then you spread that spread on the bread. You layer the cucumbers over it, and then you cut them into either squares or little fingers. It's super simple. And that's the funny thing, is like, I've never had this in the United States before, but it's a super simple recipe, but it's so delicious. It just, I crave it like every day now. I have to be careful because I can't have it every day, because it's not a healthy sandwich. Mr. Dude says, any thoughts on the Disney community being built near Palm Springs? Not really. I don't think it's going to be all that exciting. It's just another housing community for rich people. So I don't have any thoughts on it, honestly. Raw Source says, I'm having really bad wisdom teeth pain, so this live stream is just what I needed. What is my live stream putting you to sleep? Honest Queen Mary says, how do the Queen Mary lifeboats work? Well, I made a video about it. It'd be too long to explain it here, but if you watch my video called How You Can Save the Lifeboats, I explain in that video how all the lifeboats work. Matthew Mahoney says, what will happen to the land next to the Queen Mary? So the Queen Mary and the land surrounding it is most likely going to be, the ownership is going to be transferred from the city of Long Beach to the Port Authority. And when that happens, what the Port Authority has said they want to do is they want to build a massive indoor cruise terminal. So the cruise terminal will be like something that's being built in places like Shanghai and stuff. And basically like Shanghai, or is it Hong Kong? I think Hong Kong, actually. Never mind. But anyway, it would be a massive indoor entertainment complex. And that's what the Port Authority wants to do with that area. So I know that Urban Commons, the previous company that had the lease to the Queen Mary, wanted to build Queen Mary Island, basically a giant, shopping district. That idea is gone. That's not going to be revived. That was Urban Commons' idea, and only they had the influence to build it. But even then, they didn't even have that influence. But what the Port Authority wants to do is they want to build a massive indoor cruise terminal that will act as a giant entertainment complex. And that's what they want with it. And then the cruise terminal itself, which can only service one ship at a time, they want to expand it so it'll either service 2 ships or 4 ships at a time. And what that does for the Queen Mary is currently, whenever you buy tickets to get on a cruise ship at that terminal, there's a fee that goes towards the maintenance of the Queen Mary.
Currently, that amounts to $2.4 million per year in fees that go towards the Queen Mary. The Queen Mary, however, has a annual maintenance requirement of $5 million. That means every year the Queen Mary needs $5 million for upkeep and maintenance. And of course, the reason why the Queen Mary looks so terrible right now is because despite getting the $2.4 million every year, the companies that have been operating her haven't been putting all that money into the ship. So anyway, what the Port Authority wants to do is, with at least the capacity for 2 ships, that can double the amount of money coming in towards the Queen Mary, which will meet that $5 million requirement. And that means that with 2 ships constantly in and out of the port, the Queen Mary's annual maintenance costs will be paid for. And the Port Authority will ensure that happens because they will also have control of the Queen Mary. So that's what we're hoping will all happen, and yeah, and that's what's going to go in the land next to the ship. Wolf Gaming says, what happened to Queen Mary's second-class swimming pool? It was destroyed after the Queen Mary came to Long Beach and they converted the ship to a hotel. They were going to build a massive museum at the bottom of the ship that would have taken up like half of the underwater section of the ship, basically. And part of that was a second-class swimming pool, so they tore it out. Currently, the 4D theater that is on the Queen Mary is in the spot that the second-class swimming pool used to be. Mysterious Wanderer says, have you been to Crater Lake yet? No, I haven't. Matthew Mahoney says, is RMS Queen Elizabeth still in Hong Kong Harbor? No. She was scrapped a long time ago. They removed all the bits and pieces of her because where she sat is currently in the middle of the busy shipping lane to get into the harbor. So they needed to have all of her removed so that way she didn't she didn't damage any ships coming in. So she was entirely removed from the bed of the sea floor. Scott Fairs says, hello from QMI. Thank you for all you do educating the public about our beloved Queen Mary. Looking forward to meeting you in the near future. Oh, awesome. Thanks, Scott. Looking forward to meeting you, too. RMS Queen Mary says, how did the QE catch fire? Trying to remember. I'm going to admit here, at the top of my head, I don't 100% remember exactly what it was, but I think a tool was left on overnight or something, and it overheated, and that's what sparked the fire. JD says, how many times have you been on the Queen Mary? And also, have you ever seen / been on the QE2 or QM2? How many times have I been on the Queen Mary? I think 4 times in my life in total. So 3 times, well, I would say 2 times as a kid, once as a 20-something-year-old, and then 2 years ago, on January 2020, I was on the Queen Mary in my late 20s. That's when I filmed all the stuff you see, all the footage on the ship that is featured on my channel was all filmed in January 2020 by me. And then have I been on or seen the QE2 or QM2? I've never seen with my own eyes the QE2 or the QM2, nor have I been on them. But I have seen videos of them. I know a lot about both ships in terms of knowledge. The thought crossed my mind that I might one day visit the QE2, but it's just too far. It's Dubai. It's too far away. QM2, however, I'm trying to save up money to take a transatlantic crossing with my friend Chris to go to England and back on the QM2. So I'm hoping maybe late 2023 I'll be able to afford to do that and film the whole thing for both channels actually. So Matthew says, why wasn't the RMS Queen Elizabeth converted into a floating hotel? She was. So after she retired in 1969, she was immediately converted to a floating hotel, and she opened in like 1970 or something like that in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And she was there for like 2 years, and she operated as a hotel and museum. And she wasn't all that popular because, I don't know, maybe Florida wasn't that populated back then, but she wasn't all that popular, so someone else, I can't remember his name, he was a businessman, bought her and was going to convert her into a university, Seawise University, and unfortunately she never made it to being a university. You know, this is my first time trying Irish breakfast tea, and I hadn't commented on it through the whole live stream because I forgot I was drinking Irish breakfast tea. This is my first time having it. What do I think of it? You know what's funny? On the box, it says it has a medium flavor strength. But I would argue that this tastes, it's got a bolder flavor than the English breakfast tea. It definitely tastes, I don't like using the term stronger because when I worked in the, at Rosetta, as, I was one of the owners of the cafe, we used to tell people that there's no such thing as like stronger coffee or stronger tea. They're generally all the same. It's just that their flavor profile is different. So it makes people think that you're getting more or less caffeine with the flavor. So I hate to say that, but I would say the flavor of the Irish breakfast tea is definitely bolder than the English breakfast tea. And if I had to choose between the two, honestly, I'd probably have to choose the Irish breakfast tea. Not necessarily because I think it's just better or whatever you might want to say. It just seems... You know what, maybe it's because I'm such a coffee person. That seems closer to coffee than anything. So, yeah. I don't know. It's hard to say, but... Yeah, I really like this Irish breakfast tea. So, on Tuesday, I will try the, what was it called again? The Earl Grey. Sorry. Yeah. On Tuesday, I will try the Earl Grey. Alright, let's see. Joanne Young says, like an airport for cruise ship, but with the Queen Mary as the attraction. I wouldn't say like an airport, because an airport doesn't have anything fun to do. The cruise terminal that the Port Authority wants to build on the land next to the Queen Mary, it's called a cruise terminal, but the majority, like 90% of it, is a giant entertainment complex. It's like a place to have fun, and airport terminals aren't a place to have fun. So it's not the same. It's called a cruise terminal because there is a terminal gonna be in there somewhere, but most of it is gonna be a giant indoor entertainment complex, a place to bring your family to have fun, and that's what they want to build next to the Queen Mary. Rossers, no, it's not putting me to sleep at all. I'm really enjoying it. I was just really looking forward to the stream today, disregarding the tooth pain. Well, I'm sorry. I hope your tooth feels better. Um, Thomas Brooks says, Alex, where did you get your White Star plate? I thought I mentioned it in the video. The White Star plate I got at the Titanic Museum when it came to the city of Buena Park, California. So I went to the Titanic Museum, and then at the very end was a gift shop, and I purchased the plate there. The Empire of Waterloo says, hey Alex, does your dad ever watch your live streams? I don't know. I know he says he watches my videos. Um, uh, but I never specifically ask him, like, what did you watch, you know? And I don't think he watches my live streams. I don't know. Rossor says, hey Alex, I'm just wondering, have you heard of the Titanic replica they're building in China? Which one? The Titanic 2 or the one for the theme park? Both are canceled, by the way. The one for the theme park, the whole theme park was canceled because they ran out of money, which happens a lot in China. There are so many abandoned, unfinished theme parks in China because a company gets the idea to build a theme park, and then halfway through they run out of money, and then so that's what happened. The theme park version of the Titanic ran out of money, and their theme park was canceled. The Titanic 2, which was being built by a guy like a billionaire or something like that, and he was going to sail it as a cruise ship, that was also recently canceled. So both are canceled, but let's see. Rossor says, I'm actually Irish myself, and I gotta agree with you. Our teas can be quite strong. I'd recommend these Irish brands. Barry's Tea or Lion's Tea, if you can find them anywhere. I wonder if I can. Honestly, you can get anything on Amazon, to be truthful, so I probably can find it. I think I've even seen Barry's Tea on Amazon. It's a blue box, I think it is. So I'll have to look at that. Do you drink those, like the Barry's Tea, for instance? If I got the Barry's Tea, would you drink it like this? Like, would you drink it with, brew it black, put cream and sugar? I'm wondering, because I don't want to have it incorrectly. So let me know. Matthew Mahoney says, what happened to the Queen Mary over propellers? I think you mean the other propellers. So the Queen Mary still has one on the ship, which can be seen when you walk into the propeller box on the ship, which it was actually recently cleaned. I saw a video was posted on YouTube from one of the guys that helped clean it. So the propeller box was cleaned, which is really nice because it's been a long time since that propeller was cleaned. But the other three propellers from the Queen Mary were spread out. So there's another one near the entrance to the parking lot of the Queen Mary. So when you enter so when you get off the freeway, there's a way to get to the cruise terminal parking structure. If you take that way, it'll take you to an intersection where you have to make a left. On that intersection, at the corner, is one of the Queen Mary's propellers sitting there in a flower bed, and it's on display. So that's where one of them is. There's another one somewhere on the beaches of Long Beach, and it's half buried in the sand. So it's there as well. And then the fourth one, I forget where the fourth one is. I think some people are still looking for it, actually. But the fourth one still exists somewhere. It's just not near the ship. So yeah. Keith says, Alex, you need to get a P.O. box number. Could send you some gifts from SS United States. I would love to do a P.O. box, but I don't have a way to get there. I live in an area where everything is spread out, so I can't just easily walk over to the P.O. box. I don't have a car, so I can't get there. I don't have the ability to just ask people to take me anywhere. So that's the reason why I don't have a P.O. box, is because I literally can't get to the post office. which is going to be a problem because eventually with the second channel, I want to build things that I can sell on Etsy. But if I want to sell things to people, I got to be able to get to the post office. So, yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do. Yeah, but I would love to have a P.O. box. I know some people would send me some really cool things, but I can't. I can't. Yeah, that tea is definitely stronger. Glenn says, "Oh, I just saw you had your sandwiches cut into fingers today." Yes, I did, because you told me to. So I cut them into fingers, and I'll do that tomorrow too, because I'm gonna have like my sister has a tea set that I bought for her for Christmas. It's from Germany. It's this nice little tea set with like hand painted roses on each thing, and she really wants to try it. And I told her, I said that tomorrow we'll do tea time with her friend and stuff, and I'll make the sandwiches, the cucumber sandwiches, and then I'll cut them into fingers for everybody to have. So yeah, I would love to have, someone else here with me to do tea, but I only have one working teacup. I plan to do a live stream next weekend when both my friends come to visit me for the weekend. So I think Sunday the 27th, I want to do a live stream at noon Pacific time, and my friends will have tea with me here on the live stream, and I'll let one of my friends use this one, the working teacup. I'll use the non-working teacup, and then my other friend will use one of my coffee mugs, because I don't have any other teacups. I call it non-working because it's got a crack in it. I can fill it halfway, but that's about it. So that's what I plan to do. So I think next Sunday will be a really cool live stream. It just won't happen at tea time. It'll be at noon because we have other things to do that day, but it'll still be cool. Matthew Mahoney says, "Have you played Titanic Adventure at a Time?" No, I haven't. Matthew Conway says, "Are there areas in the ship no one can access?" The Queen Mary? Oh, that must be what you're talking about. Yeah, there's lots of areas There's lots of areas that no one can access in the Queen Mary. No one, well, unless you mean no one by, like, no one. If you mean the general public, there's lots of areas the general public can't get into. Like, I don't even know where to begin. But some examples are the third class dining room, the second class dining room, the swimming pool, the let's see, what are some other areas that you can't get into? The former second class overflow lounge, which became the Beachcombers Lounge, which became the Capstan Lounge. That one is, not accessible. General public can't access the cargo holds. There's so many places on the Queen Mary the general public can't access. Rossor says, "Yeah, you can have berries tea with cream and sugar. Some like to use milk as well. If I was to recommend a type of berries tea, I definitely suggest the Golden Blend recipe, which is in a red box." Okay, I will definitely look into that. John C. says, "You use Trimet." I think that's the name of the local transit system. I would, but there's no transit systems around where I am. There's nothing. No buses, no nothing where I am. So I would have to walk a great distance to get to one. But even then, if I'm going to walk that distance, I might as well just walk to the post office. The other reason why I don't like walking to the post office is because since it is far away and it tends to rain here, I don't want it to rain on me and everything I'm trying to carry. So, Bride Vale says, "Hey, I was wondering if you'd do a video on the Normandy on the channel at all. Maybe a comparison between her and the Queen Mary. I can do a comparison, but I will admit right now I'm very biased against the Normandy. I don't like that ship at all. There's nothing about it I like. So I will admit right now I'm biased against the ship. So anything I have to say may not necessarily be nice things. So I am sorry about that. I know some people are probably going to expect me to do a history of the SS Normandy, but I'm more likely to do a history of the Ile-de-France. The Ile-de-France, I think, is a beautiful ship. So yeah, I'm more likely to say nice things about Ile-de-France than I am Normandy. But I do plan to make a comparison video between Normandy and Queen Mary, and to try as nicely as I can to explain why there's differences. Because I think the Queen Mary is unfairly compared to the Normandy all the time. People go, oh, the Normandy is so beautiful, it was so successful. And it's like, I don't agree. Keith says, "Hey Alex, have you ever had a chance to watch Floating Palaces? You can catch on YouTube. It's awesome." Okay, I'll check it out. I haven't heard of it. Matthew Conway says, "No one at all." Oh, for the Queen Mary. Yeah, there are some places that no one at all can get into at the moment. There's one place that was recently discovered after 50 years of not knowing it was there anymore, basically, which is the forward capstan gear room, which is underneath the forecastle deck of the Queen Mary. That has been locked behind walls since the Queen Mary came to Long Beach, so it was only rediscovered back in like 2017 or something like that. And then the company at the time wanted to make it into a tourist attraction, but they never got around to it, and it's still closed off. So there's that place. Yeah, there's random areas, but I can't, off the top of my head, I can't remember any of them. But there's plenty of places that people literally can't go anymore. Areas of the ship that have just been abandoned forever and will probably continue to be abandoned. It'd be cool if one day we could see every square inch of the ship, but the ship is so big, there are literally areas that will just stay abandoned. And that's also kind of cool to think about. There are some areas that we'll never get to see again, essentially. Pretty cool. Let's see. Glenn H says, if you ever come to the UK. Wait, did you say something about that before? Glenn. Oh, yes. Glenn says, you will have to visit the Royal Yacht Britannia. It's amazing. That's so weird. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I actually do really want to visit the Royal Yacht Britannia. It looks beautiful. You know, I want to see it. Unfortunately, it's not located where I'm going to be. Like, when I come to the UK, I'm hoping I'll be in the UK, like, December or something of 2023. I'm going to take the Queen Mary 2 over there. But where we plan to go is, we plan Southampton, of course, because that's where the Queen Mary 2 will stop. London, because there's lots of cool historic stuff to see in London. All this is going to be themed around history, because that's what my channel does. So London, Bristol, because Bristol has some really cool historical stuff, including I can't remember the name now. There is an early sailing ship ocean liner there. Britain, SS Great Britain, is there. And I want to see that. There's also, in Bristol, or near Bristol, there's also a really cool heritage railroad that I want to do a video on. And then there's a bridge that I want to do a video on in Bristol. So Southampton, London, Bristol, and then we're gonna try to take a quick plane flight to Northern Ireland to see Belfast, because I really want to go to the Titanic Museum in Belfast and see the nearby SS Nomadic. So, because currently on the Queen Mary, the original Queen Mary, they have an original lifeboat from the SS Nomadic on the Queen Mary. So now I have to go see the SS Nomadic myself, and that's in Belfast, Ireland. So we do plan to go to Belfast, Ireland. And then part of that trip is going to Paris, and also to see Disneyland Paris, because that's probably one Disney park that is foreign to the United States that I actually want to see myself. So we might go see Disneyland Paris. We had plans to, while we were in France, to see like Mont Saint-Michel, but it is really far from where we're going to be staying, and it'll just cost too much extra money to get to Mont Saint-Michel. So we're just going to film stuff in Paris and Disneyland Paris, and then we're going to go back to England. Mike Morin says Iron Gorge Bridge. Is that what it's called, the one in Bristol? Yeah, I think that's what we're going to go see, is the Iron Gorge Bridge. Yeah. Mysterious Wanderer says, have you ever been to Crater Lake yet? I told you, no. I haven't been there yet. Cheryl Ann says, comparing the two ships, the Normandy and Queen Mary, is like comparing the Chrysler Building and the Empire State Building. Yeah, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. Actually, so speaking of New York, when me and my friend take the Queen Mary 2 to the UK, since we'll be in New York to catch the Queen Mary 2, my friend and I, we want to visit like one or two places in Manhattan. So that'll be cool. I've never been to New York or Manhattan or anywhere in New York City. So that'll be really neat. Richard Bolton says, hey Alex, how are you doing? This is Lars from Portland, Oregon. I was wondering if you heard that Cunard packed the holes with spare parts furniture China when they came to the delivery voyage. What? I don't understand. I'm sorry, Richard. I don't understand what you said. I don't understand. Mysterious Wanderer says, do you go on World War II battleships? I haven't been on any battleships. The only World War II ship of any kind besides the Queen Mary that I've been on was the SS Jeremiah O'Brien, which was a Liberty ship, and that was in San Francisco. So I went on that ship in San Francisco. But no, I haven't been on other World War II ships. Matthew Conway says, what happened to the second and third class spaces on the Queen Mary? Is there anything left of them? There's nothing left of the third class spaces, essentially. They're all gone. There are some things, like, I could be specific, like, third class on the Queen Mary, what still exists? Technically, the third class dining room still exists. It's just been horribly ripped apart and divided into several different rooms for usage as storage. In fact, all of the ship's like original plans and documentation and all this historic paperwork is being kept in the original third class dining room at the moment. So that's gone. But in terms of third class, the third class staircase is still on the Queen Mary. Technically, the third class nursery or playroom, children's playroom, and the synagogue are technically still there, but they're being used as storage closets. So they're technically there. There is also the third class garden lounge is still on the Queen Mary. The third class smoking room is technically still on the Queen Mary, but it's been divided into several rooms, and today it is the home of the Cunard Story exhibit, which is in my Queen Mary tour video. You see the Cunard Story exhibit. So that's still there. And then there is a third class there is a third class lounge. I forget what deck it is. I could walk over to my map real quick to see. I don't feel like it. There's a third class lounge somewhere on the ship, but it's not being used. As for third class staterooms and hallways, all gone. All gone. Nothing left. Technically, if you've heard of room B340, the supposed most haunted room on the ship, before that, there was a time when room B340 was actually like 5 different third class rooms with a public bathroom next to it. And so technically that is technically a third class space, and it's still on the Queen Mary, but it's being used as a fake haunted room. So, yeah. Second class spaces, some of the second class dining room is still there. But, and then a lot of the second class staterooms have been converted into hotel rooms. A lot of the second class lounges are still on the ship. So second class main lounge is still there. They call that the Britannia Salon. It's the second class main lounge. There's the second class overflow lounge, which is currently called the Capstan Lounge, and it's used for banquets. Oof, there's a lot of spaces. Oh my gosh, I just have to... Yeah. One place that still exists that everybody at QMI wants to restore, the second class library is right out front of the second class main lounge, also called the Britannia Salon. Outside of it is the second class library, and most of it is still all there. So QMI wants to restore that spot because it wouldn't even cost that. It would cost maybe a couple thousand. That's it. A couple thousand to restore the second class library, and it could be available for everybody to see. You know, there are some places on the ship that would be so easy and inexpensive to restore that no one has done yet. So, yeah. Oof, I've missed so much. Let me see. Mike Marin says, or maybe Clifton Suspension Bridge. It's one of the two. Yeah, there's a bridge there that was like among the first iron bridges ever made. I know the one I'm thinking of is a suspension bridge, and it goes over the big gorge. There's a big gorge there in Bristol, and that's the one I want to see. It's one of the first iron suspension bridges and stuff. Rossor says, SS Nomadic and the Titanic Museum were amazing. I definitely recommend the dry dock and pump house as well. I saw that. I wasn't sure if that was part of the museum. Where the Olympic class liners would have been in dry dock. Okay, so then yeah, I definitely have to see the dry dock and pump house from the Titanic Museum, because I saw that on Google Maps, but I wasn't sure if it was part of the museum. Cheryl Ann says, if you like Art Deco, I recommend both, but I prefer the Chrysler Building. She means the Chrysler or the Empire State. Yeah, I definitely want to see the lobby of the Empire State Building, because it looks so Art Deco and so cool. I'm sure the Chrysler Building looks good too, but I mean, come on, I'm going to New York. If I had to choose between one of the two, I'm going to have to go to the Empire State Building. Mysterious Wanderer asks, have you seen the Spruce Goose? No, but I'm hoping this coming weekend when my friends come here, we have plans to go see the Spruce Goose. I want to film there so I can eventually do a video about the Spruce Goose. John C says, did you know that we have at least 2 museum ships in your backyard, Portland, Oregon waterfront? Yeah, there's a steamboat, and we thought about going on that one, but it's permanently closed. So the steamboat we can't do. Then there's another boat somewhere. I don't know where. I don't know what the second one is. You have to tell me. Kovev says, if you're in New York, visit Pier 76. They have a propeller from the SS United States. Okay, we'll see, because, I mean, Pier 76, that might be near, because we mostly plan to be near the Ground Zero World Trade Center. Me and my friend Chris, we really want to see the World Trade Center area, you know. So I think Pier 76 is near that area. Conrad says, he says Cunard packed extra furniture, spare parts, and china into the holds on its final voyage. Speaking of that, how large of an open space is a hold on the Queen Mary? 2-story open warehouse? Okay, so, yeah, you're right. There was extra furniture, spare parts, and china on the Queen Mary. However, a lot of that stuff was sold off as soon as the Queen Mary came to Long Beach. In fact, some of this stuff I have here, some of this tea set, probably came from when it came to Long Beach and they sold off a bunch of stuff, because this is probably all spare china that they couldn't use, because as soon as the Queen Mary retired, they started producing a different set of china for the QE2. It looks the same as this, but with a gold rim and no stripes. So that's why they gave away so much. But yeah. Back to your question. How big are the cargo holds? Ugh. It's really hard for me to. I've never seen them with my own eyes, only pictures. So it's really hard for me to put it into words. But I do know that the cargo holds are. You know, let me go count. I have the picture right here. I can count how many decks they are. Okay. So the cargo holds, both of them have 4 decks. The bottommost deck is the tallest one, because it has the most space. So there are 4 decks to the cargo holds, and I couldn't tell you how long the cargo holds are. I don't have that information at the moment. But they're big. They're really big, that's for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Derpy Possum says, do you know if there's currently... This is a good question, by the way. Derpy asks, do you know if there's currently anything left of the first-class long gallery aboard the Queen Mary? So what Derpy's talking about is there was a long gallery that separated the first-class main lounge from the... What was beyond it? There was a ballroom there, wasn't there? No, that was in between the long galleries. What was at the very end? There was something at the very end. The smoking room. There we go. So in between, on Promenade Deck, in between the first-class main lounge and the smoking room, was 2 parallel hallways. One of them was called the Long Gallery. The other one was called the Starboard Gallery. So the port side, the Long Gallery, they were both ways to get through most of the first-class area of the ship. And then in between them was a big ballroom at one point. But yeah, so are they still there? Technically, yes. But they were... The long gallery was split into several rooms. The first room, which is all the way forward of the long gallery, is now a Starbucks. And in the Starbucks, you can still see one of the original portraits that was built into the wall. So it's still there. It's now a Starbucks. On the other side of that wall, in the middle of the long gallery, is the entrance to the Chelsea Chowder House restaurant. So if you've ever been to that restaurant, there's this big long hallway that you cut through the center of the ship to get to the starboard side where the seats for the restaurant are. The sad thing is that area that cut right through had cut through an area that was once the Queen Mary's Grand Ballroom. It's no more. It doesn't exist. It's completely gone. The whole area was rearranged, new walls constructed, everything. And it also subsequently cut through both galleries, both the long gallery and the starboard gallery, just to get through it. So I would love to see that area restored. And then, of course, besides the entrance to the Chelsea Chowder House, there is one more area from the long gallery, and they reserved that as a meeting room. And that's where the aft portrait was built into that wall, and that's still there. That portrait is still in that wall. So technically the room is still there, it's just been split into 3 different areas. And I would love to see it restored. It would be beautiful to see the Queen Mary. Because you know what? The Queen Mary has a... They turned the second class smoking room into a wedding chapel when the Queen Mary came to Long Beach. So on Promenade Deck, the wedding chapel that many of you have gotten married in was the second class smoking room. I would love to see it restored to the smoking room. It still has its original wall paneling. But what I would like to see is them rebuild the first class ballroom. The ballroom had like gray walls. So it's perfect for hosting like your wedding in, because everybody who plans weddings, I know it's weird that I know this, but everyone who plans weddings, it's better if you have gray walls, because you could virtually decorate it any way you want, and it will always go with your decorate. The gray walls will always go with your decorations. So it just so happens that Queen Mary's original ballroom had grayish walls, and it would be perfect as a wedding chapel. And they need to restore the current wedding chapel back into the second class smoking room. So I would love to see that happen. RMS Queen Mary asks, why did the lifeboats change over the years? The ones on the Queen Mary, they got rotten. That's why they changed. RMS Queen Mary asks, have you been to the Titanic Museum Las Vegas? No, but I think it's the exact same one I visited back when it was in the city of Buena Park. I think it's the exact same one. So technically, yes, I have seen it. Mike Morin asks, when was the Queen Mary Jacques Cousteau Living Sea Museum taken out? 1974, I believe, because it was there from 72 through 74. And the Jacques Cousteau Museum is the whole reason why all the boiler rooms on the Queen Mary was gutted. They didn't need to get rid of all the boilers, but they did because they thought they would turn all those boiler rooms and turbogenerator rooms into more big rooms for the Jacques Cousteau Museum. It turned out they only built the museum into boiler rooms 4 and 5. That's it. So they removed all those boilers for no reason. Yeah, so the Living Sea Museum was there for 2 years. I think it was removed in 74. Matthew Conway says, have you ever had any ghostly experiences on the Queen Mary? No, the only thing I could really come near saying was a ghostly experience was I was in the shaft alleys and I thought I saw someone walking down one of the old catwalks on my left. And I turned the camera towards it to see if I could capture it on camera, but I didn't. And I wouldn't really call that a ghost experience. It could very easily have been that I saw something else, but I know I saw something move. So it was either an optical illusion, or I really did see a ghost. I don't know, but other than that, I've never felt any weird experiences on the Queen Mary. The Queen Mary felt like a very happy, very comfortable ship to be on. I never like. I know like everybody tries to say like, oh, the Queen Mary is this haunted hell ground with spirits and demons, and I'm like, no, I was on the Queen Mary, and it was a really happy, beautiful, comfy place to be. I loved it. It was wonderful. So, Rossor says the dry dock, sadly, is a separate admission from the Titanic Museum itself. However, that might have changed since last I've been. Either way, I definitely recommend it regardless. Okay, then I'll still try to go there. Glenn says, another great live stream again. Enjoyed what I managed to catch of this. Yeah, thanks. I do have to end this very soon because it's already been like 2 hours. But you see, like, I've never done like 2 hour live streams before. I'm just having so much fun that I forget that it's been like 2 hours since I started the live stream. I'm having so much fun with it. RMS Queen Mary asks, does the QE2 have a third class? I'm not yet that much of an expert on the QE2, but I feel like it did, or maybe it didn't. Maybe they combined the second and third class into one. I'll admit I don't know yet. I'm still researching the QE2. I don't know enough about it yet. John C. says the second ship is the USS Blueback submarine. It's part of the Oregon Museum. Oh yes. We plan to see that too. We want to see that that submarine as well. Mr. Dude says, have you always been into older ships? No. As a matter of fact, I was talking to somebody yesterday about this, but the first ship I ever became interested in at all was the Titanic. I saw the movie in 1997 when I was a little kid, and I really enjoyed it. I became a Titanic fan. 2012 was when I built my first ship model ever, and it was of the Titanic. You can see the ship model in my full tour video of my apartment on my Alex Adner channel. So those of you who want to see the full apartment tour where I talk about everything I have, that's in Alex Adner channel, ADNER. But yeah, I built the Titanic model, and I became even more obsessed with Titanic. And then it wasn't until January of 2020 that I visited the Queen Mary for the last time, and something just clicked, and I became obsessed with the Queen Mary ever since. Queen Mary is now my favorite ocean liner ever, even more than Titanic. And because of my love of the Queen Mary, it's led to me researching more about other ships. So it's only been the last 2 years or so that I've suddenly felt an interest in other ships. That's why I don't know as much as other people at the moment. But I'll tell you, I'm quickly catching up. I'm quickly catching up. When I learn stuff, my brain absorbs it like a sponge. So, let's see. John Spencer says, hey Alex, I gotta go, but I'll be back soon. I gotta go too. I don't even know if I'll be here when you get back. Conrad says, I just looked up Chelsea Chowder House pics. Stunning. The Chowder House is a nice restaurant, but they destroyed so much of the Queen Mary to build that restaurant. They destroyed the long gallery, the starboard gallery. They destroyed the area that had the ballroom in it. And then they destroyed the starboard promenade in order to put the seating area in there. They destroyed so much to build the Chelsea Chowder House. I can't forgive it. Mike Burns says, the Jacques Cousteau Living Sea Museum was below decks between the third funnel and the rudder. This could be where all the second and third class rooms went. So where it was built, the Jacques Cousteau Museum, it wasn't just the upper decks. It was also, so there's a space on the Queen Mary that is called the convention space, and that was built into boiler rooms 4 and 5. 4 and 5 and the turbo generator room, I think it is. Yeah, 4, 5, and the turbo generator room. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. And so that became a convention center. But before it was a convention center, it was the Jacques Cousteau Living Museum. It went from the lower decks of the ship. They had to remove one deck of second-class spaces. Yeah, one deck of second-class spaces. And then... Oh, see, it also took up the forward engine room, too. Yeah, it also took up the forward engine room, so that too. But yeah, they destroyed one deck of second-class spaces to fit the museum. However, the original Queen Mary ship engineering museum part, the part where you get to see the engineering spaces of the ship, they destroyed the second-class swimming pool area to build that museum lobby from there. So there were two different museums, the Jacques Cousteau Museum and the Engineering Spaces Museum, and both had a huge drastic destruction effect on the ship. Enjoy your barbecue, Mike Marin. Roman says, when I stayed on the Queen Mary, a ghost of a dog laid against my head while I was in bed. I don't know why, but I thought it was a dog, or why I wasn't scared. That's interesting. Because dogs wouldn't have been allowed to stay in the cabins on the Queen Mary when she was in service. There was a dog kennel on the top deck specifically for everyone's pets. So it's weird that a dog's ghost would be there of all places. If anything, it would be a ghost in the kennel. It's really strange. RV Bandwagon says, turn the Queen Mary into a galactic star cruiser type of experience, only a historic overnight stay that simulates a short cruise. That's exactly my idea. Is you can take what Disney has done and run with that when it comes to the Queen Mary in terms of building a fully immersive experience where you can stay on the ship for a night or 2 nights, basically stay the weekend and experience what it would have been like to be a passenger with full-on scheduled everything, scheduled dinners, scheduled lunches, access to specific areas that the passengers would have had access to experience what it was like to be a passenger. And then, of course, entertainment. There would be a lot of entertainment and stuff to keep you occupied. And then, of course, stuff that involves your phone, apps and things that you can use on the Queen Mary to navigate, see the ship as a museum, and explore it using your phone, so that way you can easily get around. That was my idea. Matthew says, I believe the Starboard Gallery is now a kitchen for the Chelsea restaurant. Why they removed the area around the long galleries, I don't think it was necessary. I agree, Matthew. Yeah, they did destroy the Starboard Gallery to make way for the Chelsea's kitchen. They didn't have to do that. There were ways. Like, this is what makes me so upset. Like, there were ways to make restaurants. Like, if anything, I don't understand why they didn't turn the first class main lounge into a restaurant. It operated as one. They used to serve food in the first class main lounge. And there's plenty of space in there. It's beautiful. I don't understand why they didn't turn that into a restaurant. Or if anything, why didn't they turn the first class main restaurant into a restaurant? Their kitchen is right there. Like, I don't understand it. Mr. Dude says, you should get the Lego Titanic set. I don't want to. I'm not into Legos. Um, all right, see ya, Cheryl Ann. Um, no, Conrad, the Chowder House, they destroyed a lot of stuff. They destroyed. So, uh, what I meant was you enter the Chowder House through the Long Gallery. They had to destroy a section of the Long Gallery to make an entrance so you can cut through the ship. So they did destroy the Long Gallery. They destroyed the area that had the ballroom on the Queen Mary. Then they destroyed the Starboard Gallery to make the kitchens for the Chowder House. And then they basically destroyed part of the Starboard Promenade to build the seating area for the Chowder House. So there was a lot of destruction that happened just to build the Chowder House. Richard says, hey Alex, in the early 90s, my boyfriend and I spent a weekend on the ship. We dropped acid and snuck out late in the evening and went all over the ship. It was so cool and special. Okay. Nobody do acid. It's dangerous. Okay. Mysterious Wanderer asks, does the Queen Mary have audio-visual tours with iPads? No. They used to have an audio tour, like, you borrowed, like, a little iPhone, like a little, like, iPhone thing, and it played audio recordings, and you could walk around the ship and hear a tour at your own pace. They used to do that. But the Queen Mary is so outdated. So outdated, it was like, they don't have, like, tours where you could, like, download an app on your phone. This is what they should have, you guys. Like, if you want to know, how can we make the Queen Mary profitable? Upgrade the experience. You need to make it so people can download an app on their phone that not only has an interactive map of the ship that you can navigate on your own cell phone, but you need to have it so you can, like, make reservations for your restaurants. You can reserve tours on your phone. You can, if you want to find a specific room, like let's say you come to the Queen Mary and you're like, I'm Jewish. Not me, but let's say you come to the Queen Mary, you're like, I'm Jewish. I want to see the synagogue. I want to see this historical space on the ship. Then you should be able to go on your phone and, like, click, like, synagogue or something, and it should give you directions on how to get to the synagogue on the Queen Mary. Like, that's what they need to have. They need to have an app. And they don't have that. That's one of the key problems with the Queen Mary is people don't know how to get around the ship because they're using paper. And it's just, yeah. So, yeah, Graceland does that. See, Graceland stays up to date with modern, things. Oh, John Stamos narrates the tour at Graceland. Oh, wow. That's pretty cool. Irving asks, have you ever had interest in the Edmund Fitzgerald? It sank in Lake Superior, 1975. I haven't really. Not yet. There's so many ships, honestly. I'm still doing so much research. Like, there's like 15 ships on my list of things to research and learn about, and it's, so much. But yeah, I'm hoping to put out a video very soon. Because I'm going to end the live stream, but I will say, the next video that's coming out is to settle the controversy of whether the Queen Mary was faster or slower than the Queen Elizabeth. So that video's next. After that, I'm hoping to have the Johann von Oldenbarnevelt video out. And that's currently on my list of things to do. So the next tea time will be this Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific time, and on that one I will try the Earl Grey version of the Twinings tea. Yeah, so thank you all so much for joining me. I'm going to call this quits now. And then hopefully on Sunday I will do a live stream here with my friends. They'll sit with me here and we'll have tea together with the Cunard service. So that'll be really cool. I'm hoping to do that. So anyway, thank you all for joining me, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye, you guys. Bye-bye.